Good afternoon, DIYers. In this episode of our video, I will show you how to replace the clutch master cylinder. Okay, the reason we're replacing the clutch master cylinder because it's losing pressure whenever you depress the clutch pedal. First, you want to remove two 10mm bolts here on top, and then we also want to make sure that our reservoir is empty of clutch fluid, and then we need to disconnect this 12mm clutch line wrench. You can use a flare wrench, or you can use just regular 12mm open-ended wrench. And inside the vehicle, these are the things that we want to do. Inside the vehicle, you want to locate two of the nuts that holds the master cylinder to the firewall. So it would be one where the light is shining, and then the second one will be on the opposite side. And you also want to disconnect the cotter pin that locks the pedal to the plunger of the clutch master cylinder. Inside the car, first thing that you want to do is to remove the cotter pin that holds the plunger to the pedal. So this is that cotter pin. You just use a long nose pliers, grab it to the cotter pin, and then eventually you'll be able to remove it out. Once you remove the cotter pin, you go to then push the bolt from the side where the cotter pin attaches with your fingers, and go ahead and pull this lock off that plunger. After removing the cotter pin and the lock that holds that plunger in place, you can go ahead and take your 12mm socket wrench. Start removing those two bolts that holds the clutch master cylinder against the firewall. After removing the lock that holds the pedal and the plunger, and also those two nuts that holds it to the firewall, it's time for us to go in front of the car again to empty the reservoir and remove that flare nut and replace the clutch master cylinder. Before we remove the entire clutch master cylinder, we want to empty our reservoir first. So I have this 60 ml syringe. Just put it like that and start pulling off all the fluid that I can. And once I got most of it, the fluid is still clear, so I'll still be able to reuse this clutch fluid for this application. After emptying the reservoir, next thing that we want to do is to use a 10mm, and we want to remove the reservoir. And you want to move your reservoir towards the side, and that will give us enough clearance to get to the flare nut. You can use a flare wrench like this, or a 12mm. It will do the same job, but I prefer using the flare wrench for this application. After detaching your steel line from your clutch master cylinder, Make sure you put a rag under, so if it drips fluid, it will be catched by the rug. And then after that, the only thing that we would have to do is to gently pull out the clutch master cylinder. So this is the part that we're gonna be replacing. The reason we're replacing it because the plunger doesn't seal anymore, so we don't have enough pressure to push the clutch. So this is the one that we're replacing. And this is the replacement part that we have. And this is where the flare nut threads in. This is where reservoir hose. This is where the two nuts attach to against the firewall. And this is where the pedal attaches to. And then after you initially mounted the clutch master cylinder to the firewall, we want to go inside the car and align plunger towards the pedal and reattach the two nuts from this bolt that's sticking out, and reattach the lock pin for the pedal itself. And then after that, we'll be back out here and tighten up this line and reattach our reservoir. Now from inside the car, we are now ready to reinstall everything. Attach this lock pin. Once the lock pin is in, now you want to put back the cotter pin. And now we're pretty much done reattaching the clutch master cylinder to the pedal. And now we're ready to reinstall back everything to the reservoir side and bleed the system, and we're done. After completing the clutch pedal assembly, now we're ready to put everything tightened back here on the engine side. And now we're reattaching our reservoir. After attaching our reservoir hose, now it's time to put back this two 10mm. And if you're following this video, this is how you replace your clutch master cylinder. After successfully installing our clutch master cylinder, now the only thing that we have left to do is to put some liquid to our reservoir and bleed the system. And I think that wraps up this video. If you like to see more of upcoming DIY projects that I'll be posting here on our channel, please like, subscribe, and comment. Until next time.